And of course, we will send this recording to all of you. So we have all of your email addresses. And welcome, because the world needs more love and laughter and music. And so hopefully you got 3 people here who all enjoy and excel at least one of those things. So one of the things we thought would be kind of fun would be to start with you all learning a little bit more about how we found our unique talent or gift. And it all started actually when we were having a call. Kristin and I learned something. I asked Steve, when did you know you were funny? When you knew you were a funny guy? And so we're going to start with Steve sharing with us a little bit about his early years. Take it away, Steve.
When did you know you were funny, Steve?
Well, first of all, it must have been something in the water. I spent my deformative years in Brooklyn, and I think humor was in the air. I guess I was one of those kids, and the way you know you're one of those kids is the first time you're in the lunchroom and you make another kid laugh so hard that milk comes out of their nose. That is the universal sign from God. And I was that kid until I got to college, and then I was told to get serious, and I really, really, really tried to get serious, and it was working for a while. And then one day I found myself in a sociology lecture hall with 300 people, all of us very, very, very bored. And I'm sitting in a lecture hall, someplace between sleep and deep sleep, and out of the corner of my ear, I hear the professor, and she's talking about social mores. And she says, and who can define for us social mores? And without thinking, I'm up. And in a kind of a comedic Tourette's, what comes out is, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, some more. And then went, like the little mandolin. And everybody burst out laughing. And the professor actually gave me a D in the class for that. But I earned the D. And so I never imagined I would have been doing humor, but then a funny thing happened. When I was in my early 30s, I lost my dream job teaching at Wayne State University, and I had to take a job doing tree work. And while I was there, a brilliant psychologist disguised as a truck driver, Larry Kelsaw, and I started a funny newspaper for the other guys at the shop. And when I recognized the power that humor had and that I was really good at it, that set me on my life course by accident, by a funny thing happening.
Wow. That's fantastic. I think you deserved what is a word that begins with D? Like not a D grade, but a dream. You deserved come on, Steve, help me. So what's a really good word that begins with a D?
I'll pick a word that my good friend Neil Rogan came up with: delightment.
Delightment.
We want to honor Neil, and that's
we
a
love
good
Neil.
word
That
for it.
is one of the most incredible books. Bless
Yeah,
Neil. And
delightment.
yes, I think you really got a D for delightment. You are a master of delightment.
Thank you, my dear.
Well, now we get to ask you, Kristin, what were kind of your steps of discovering yourself as a musical goddess?
Oh, a musical goddess. Wow. Thank you, Scott. Well, I would say one of my very first memories when I trace back in life, one of my very first memories is standing at this old piano. I actually have it right here. It was my grandmother's piano and my mother's piano. Standing at this old piano in our little dining room where it used to live, and the keys were maybe above my head or right about my head, and playing notes and seeing light come in through the windows and kind of dancing on the keys. And I have this memory of just the sound mixing with the light coming in and having an aha moment in my little self. And from that point on, I just always had an interest in music. In a way, I feel like it was like a soul's aha moment. Oh, I remember this. And I began asking my parents to play instruments, started with a little violin, and then a year later moved on to piano. And I've just been discovering more and more and more ever since. Still a student of music and of resonance and frequency in life. And I know I'm going to learn even more today.
What's your most recent self-discovery about your relationship to music and or life?
Well, I will say in the last few years, or I guess starting about 5 years ago, I began studying harmonic overtone singing with an incredible pioneer, pioneer of overtone singing, Timothy Hill. And this has added on a whole different understanding of the math of music, the sacred codes of sound. And now that I understand how the kind of blueprint of sound and resonance is working behind the scenes, even when we're talking, even when we're listening to sounds, it has really expanded my whole awareness around the sounds that I'm experiencing and sharing and tuning into.
Beautiful, beautiful. By the way, I have people still, there are a few people who are confused, who are having trouble with the links, so I'm sending links even as we speak.
Well, Scott, I wanted to ask you, are you doing too much at the moment to answer a question, or can you share a little bit?
I think I got everybody handled.
You can do it all? Okay.
I'll
let people in while you answer, but I wanted to know, becoming a love coach, a person who really, well, first of all, tell us, what is a love coach, and what has your experience been working with love and and love between people?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I was born on Christmas Day, truly. And I literally grew up with a Messiah complex. I was this little kid trying to figure out how to save the world. And through the years, I came to realize that it's not up to one person, it's up to all of us. And I also learned that the only way we save the world is through love. It's not through politics. We certainly are seeing that, aren't we? It's not through anything other than doing what we really feel called to do through love. And that's been a big part of my life's journey. And a very significant other moment in my life, I was around 30 years old, and I had a wonderful Native American elder teacher named Grandfather David. And he was my teacher for many years. And we learned that the grandfather was dying, and I went out to see him. And he had given me the nickname when on one Easter Sunday, he gave all of us Indian names. My girlfriend got Woman Who Walks Gently in Two Worlds. Everybody got these great names. He looks at me and he goes, "Man who thinks too much." And he was right, because I was a man who thought too much. A few years later, he's literally on his deathbed. It's my last visit with him. I kind of shared with him the story of how that was so accurate. And he took me by the hand and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Son, your journey in this life is to go from man who thinks too much to man who loves well." And that was possibly the most significant moment of my life, because it really set a goal, an incentive, which I still have, just like you said, Kristin, you're still learning. And then the last thing I'll say is, what is a love coach? Well, the difference between a love coach and traditional therapy is that traditional therapists have been trained for many years, often, to diagnose what's wrong with people and to evaluate what's wrong. And in love coaching, we believe that there's nothing wrong with anybody. Nobody's broken. Nobody is anything other than a spiritual being having a human experience. And it's challenging and it's hard, and relationships are hard. And so love coaching is remembering the love, remembering self-love and remembering love of each other. So that's my responses to your question.
Wow. That's really beautiful, Scott. Thank you. It's, I love that we have known each other now for quite a few years, the three of us, and then we get to learn more about each other too. And
absolutely. And
it's
yes,
one of the blessings of coming together like this.
And yes, Connie, it was Hopi, Grandfather David. So you probably knew him. He was beautiful.
Oh.
I think that there's just no better way to start something like this after our little initial schmoozing than a Kristin Hoffmann song.
Aw.
Would you be willing?
Of course, of course. That's what I'm here for. So, we're going to start with a piece that allows us to just go inside and open up our hearts, open up our cells, open up our beings, open up our space together. And appropriately, this piece is called Open. So, use this next 5 to 6 minutes as a meditative space. Maybe you need to let go of some things that you've been keeping in your mind, like man who thinks too much, and let go of those thoughts, let go of anything that came before, anchor yourself, ground yourself in this moment, and just feel and envision yourself opening, opening, opening. Can you expand your field more? Okay, here we go. Infinite gratitude. Hope you're all feeling open, feeling the love flowing, and just sending you so much love. I am feeling so grateful to be here. So grateful. So I know we have a special new guy coming on that I don't think we've met yet tonight. We haven't met him yet tonight. But you're about to meet the one and only Swami Beyondananda. Here he is.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. I think my head's on straight, huh? My head's on crooked. My head's on crooked. I got to get my head on straight, huh? It's hard to do that. Anyway, that was so wonderful, Kristin. It was so expansive. It was really expansive. It reminds me of my own spiritual journey, where I tried so many spiritual paths I was pathological and expanded my mind so much I couldn't fit through my door, had to go to a shrink. But anyway, we are in a very, very interesting time. We do need love. What the world needs now is love and laughter. That's the only thing our hearts are truly after. This is the time of year, April, when I usually deliver my State of the Universe address. And so, oh yes, State of the Universe. And I have to tell you, the State of the Universe, ever-changing, same as always. Now, we usually do this April Fool's Day, but you know what? Because of the increased foolishness on the planet, we've expanded April Fool's Day to the entire month of April to encompass all of the foolishness that we are dealing with, yeah? And so, yes, I must have my turban on straight because I am turban-powered, and I get all of my information that way, okay? So if I'm looking crooked to you, it's only because of my headspace. I got to make sure that I'm in the right headspace. Anyway, now let's look at it. Let's consider this. That we are. Here I've got my head straightener right here. Isn't that great? I have an official head straightener. My hair is still curly, but my head is straight. Okay, now I'm ready to start. Okay, now everything in the universe is pure love. Pure love. But meanwhile, down here on this little planet, we have what we call a situation. And people are feeling very, very stressed out about what's going on in the world. And people are asking, is this the hand of God at work or just the middle finger? Many people are asking, are we close to the end of the Kali Yuga? Well, actually, we're on the cusp. We're at the place called the border Kali Yuga, right there on the cusp. And also, I find that people are talking about the end times. The end times, yes. In fact, I met somebody a couple of years ago. They were depressed because the rapture didn't happen. I said, well, the rapture didn't happen. It's not the end of the world, right? Okay, but I have to tell you something. This is an undeniable truth. The calendar's days are numbered. Okay. Now, I have to tell you also that if you look at the book of Revelations, it says something very interesting. It says that a sign that we're at this particular time, that we are close to the what they call the end times. It says, and the last trump shall blow. Okay, I know what you're thinking. I will tell you this. You have to be compassionate because behind every soulless heel, there is an unhealed soul. And you heavy-duty light workers, I'm sure there's plenty of you on this call, you have to realize that it's the work of the light workers not just to heal souls, but to re-soul heals. Yes. Now, there is a spiritual awakening going on, definitely a spiritual awakening. And people are really aware of many things outside the world. Somebody called me recently, said, Swami, can you help me communicate with a loved one on the other side? I said, okay, which side, Democrat or Republican? Yeah, because we have a deeply divided body politic. Instead of, it used to be that people were rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Now they're actually throwing themselves at one another. So we have to create the healing. We have to come to the central idea of love. We need to bring left and right, front and center, to face the music and dance together, to turn the funk into function and leave the junk at the junction. In fact, we have to declare all out peace, all of that peace we've been keeping inside, time to let it all out. And that way, we will have inner peace even if the world is out there in pieces. Now, last night I heard Scott say something that he is moving around from place to place. And this is the secret. He is living like a nomad. This is the secret of happiness. Live like a nomad. That is where I nomad at you, you nomad at me. And that way, no madness on the planet, right? Okay. And so this is a lot of people are so active in the world that they're suffering from what we call a B deficiency. A B deficiency, too much doing, not enough being. What we used to call the Sinatra syndrome, a do-be-do-be-do imbalance, right? Or if you find yourself spending too much time doing, being a doer, relax, do a beer instead, okay? This is a good time for developing this peace and equanimity, mindfulness, because we are so inundated with this information that we are suffering from what is called mindfulness, and we have to clear our mind through mindfulness. So I went to a great mindfulness teacher, and he told me a secret. He said, if you want to have mindfulness, you must clear your mind of all the thoughts and focus on the center of yourself. I did it, and it worked. I am now thoughtless and self-centered. And of course, I went to a silent retreat, a 2-week silent retreat, totally peaceful. It was so quiet, you can hear an opinion drop. Yes? So this is a time we need to actually have what I call political climate change, warmer hearts, and cooler heads. Because when I find myself stuck in my head, I head for the heart. Now, something else that we need to do, and this is because it's cultivating spiritual maturity, we have to take responsibility. Stop blaming, okay? I think, and judging, forget it. I think judging is terrible. And people who blame, they are the cause of all the world's problems. So next time you get the urge to blame, take a breath, take a breath. If you're tempted to call somebody an inconsiderate jerk, for example, stop and breathe and take responsibility. Say, why did I create an inconsiderate jerk like you in my life? Doesn't that feel better? It sure does. Okay. Now, very important for peace and equanimity, you have to bless everything. Bless everything. A driver cuts you off. Bless that driver. Bless you. Bless you too. Go bless yourself. Huh? Okay. See, I tried it and it worked. The other driver actually gave me half of a peace sign. So this actually works, okay? Now, in these great times of transformation, we need to take a step. We need to take 4 steps. I call it the Great Upwising, a 4-step program guaranteed to work 3 times faster than 12-step, okay? Okay, step 1, wake up, wise up, grow up, show up. Wake up to the illusion of separation. We have been hoodwinked by a bunch of reeking hoods who have divided us into these 2 camps, right? We need to leave the battlefield and get onto a new playing field. Wise up to the power of love and coherence. Love is more powerful than fear. Otherwise, we'd be singing, all you need is fear. 3rd step, grow up from children of God to adults of good. And 4th step, show up on a new playing field, ready to play a new game, thrival for each and all. Now, you know what you're thinking? You're thinking, Swami, you're proposing a sane world. You must be crazy. Well, we need to create our own sane asylum. And one of the ways we do that is we take an all-important 5th step. And that step is to take a vow of levity. A vow of levity. That way you can rise above whatever has been bringing us down, right? Okay. Who's willing to take a vow of levity? Show me like this. Okay. All those willing to take a vow of levity, please rise. We rise up, we wise up, we love, and we laugh. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be, I understand I'm wanted for questioning, and I will answer your questions and you will question my answers. And now we're going to hear from Scott. You know, there's that famous song, Love the One You're With, right? Well, Scott is going to help you love the one you're going to be with the entire lifetime, you. Okay? So take it over, Scott.
Thank you so much, Swami. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. Let's give Swami some twinkles. Thank you so much, Swami. It's beautiful. And yes, please put your questions for Swami, who is wanted for questioning, into the chat box so that we can ask him those questions. And definitely the chat box, we're all family here, so utilize the chat box. We enjoy hearing from you. I had the good fortune, also life-changing. You're hearing about some of my life-changing mentors today. And Marshall Rosenberg was certainly the life-changing mentor that transformed me into a love coach. And Marshall, of course, is the founder of Nonviolent Communication. And I traveled with him. We stayed in hotel rooms together, and we became friends, as well as working together. And Marshall frequently said, the most important form of empathy is self-empathy. And the most important form of love is self-love. And it's important to remember that self-love is not selfish. The thing that's interesting is a person that we would judge as selfish is usually someone who doesn't have good self-love, doesn't have good self-esteem, and so they are constantly taking from the external world to fill an empty container. But when we can cultivate a solid foundation of self-love, which usually begins with radical acceptance of who we are, from that place, then we are more effective in the world. We actually have more to give because we're giving from our own overflow. And so, I know almost all of you, and you are all light workers. You're all beings that have come into this world at this challenging time in human history to bring love, to bring light, to bring your skills, your services, your beingness, not just your doingness. Thank you, Swami, for reminding us of that. And I want to just encourage us all to practice self-love. And so I'm going to give a couple of tips that I've learned over the years. Most of us have something or some things that we have shame around. We weigh too much, or we don't make enough money, or it's usually based on not enoughness of some sort. And it's healthy to maybe grieve a little bit, to feel the sadness, to acknowledge the discomfort. But notice when you're making it something that's wrong with you. I don't make enough money. I'm not whatever it is. It always usually starts with what I'm not. Now, our brains are computers, and we load the computer, as we all know, with our thoughts. And I'm a big believer in I am affirmations. And so whatever it is that you want more of, or that you perceive there's a scarcity in you, replace that with a positive I am affirmation and run it all day long. Run it while you're in the car driving, while you're while you're stopped on the freeway, while you're doing the dishes, while you're doing any kind of menial task. Running that I am affirmation is a very positive thing to do. And I'm going to give you the one that I've given out and that I use. And I've given this to hundreds of clients and friends over the years. It's very simple, 6 words. I am love. I am loved. First one is L-O-V-E. The second one is L-O-V-E-D. And what's beautiful about this simple affirmation is I am love helps me to remember who I am on the biggest level. Because on the deepest level, that's who we are. Love is the guiding force. Just ask Connie and Andrew. They've written a book about it. So it's important to remember, that's what I'm, love. That's what I am. I'm not Scott. I'm not broke, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. I am love at the highest level. But we're in these human bodies, and we are spiritual beings, and we are loved, but we're in human bodies, and we need to remember that we are loved. So I am love, I am loved. Helps me to remember the big picture and soothe the ego, because we are all loved. We all are loved. If many of us had parents that weren't very good parents, or our parents are gone and we miss them. And so when I do I am love, my mother and I was fortunate. I had a wonderful mother. We were close. She passed away quite a while ago, many years ago. But a great teacher taught me, in fact, Grandfather David, that our true mother is this planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, that I'm looking at and is right behind me in this photo. And it's beautiful, if you're ever feeling lonely and disconnected, to remember our connection to Mother Earth, and that she's always holding us, always. It's called gravity. And so even if you're feeling that aloneness, connect to Mother Earth and feel her love and her holding. And that has been, for me, a wonderful source of love and support. And then the final practice, it's funny, I had a client that I just gave this practice to a few days ago. A wonderful practice for self-love is to look in the mirror, light a candle, put it down, turn the lights out, and let the candle create that light. So you're kind of seeing beyond the face and seeing the soul. Look in the mirror and look at yourself until you fall in love again. Or remember how beautiful you are. Not necessarily the physical part. But if you see that, that's great. But beyond that, who you truly are. Since I'm going to turn over to Kristin, Kristin's a perfect example. Her music is so extraordinary, but it's the beauty of who she is as a being that creates that connection to source. And then because she's so loving, that's why when we look at her and we listen, she completely elevates us. And so with that, thank you for listening to some tips for self-love. And it is my honor to turn it over to a wonderful practitioner of love and self-love, our beloved Kristin.
Oh, that was so beautiful, Scott. I am feeling very warm and fuzzy inside, and laughed my little butt off over here with the Swami. So laughter and love, and here we go into a song that's hopefully gonna get you moving a little bit, moving in love. This one is called "Love Is the Way Is Love." In case you're looking for the direction, it's love. Love is the way is love. into the truth of who you are. Be in the truth, and truth will be, will be, will be, will be. Be in the truth, and truth will be. Be in the truth, and truth will be, will be, will be, will be. Shining a light for all to see. That love is the way is love is, love is, love is love. Love is the way is love. Ooh, love is the way is love. Wherever you are, it all is love. Sing with me in your own space. Love is the way is love is, love is, love is love. Love is the way is love. Love is the way is love. Never doubt it, wherever you are, it all is love. Know in this moment, wherever you are, it all is love. Let it grow in this moment, wherever you are. It all is love. You are love, and you are loved. You are love, and you are loved. Yes. I'm going to remember that one, Scott. I am love, and I am loved. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to have some questions now. A special Q&A with the one and only. I see some good questions coming in the chat. Let's see.
Yeah, actually, Scott, you brought something very important up. You were talking about gravity being grounded to Mother Earth, and I am talking about levity, which is utter mirth.
That's a good one.
So that is what we have to do. And thank you. I love that. I love that beautiful song.
Oh, thank
because
you.
Because love, the universe has us surrounded. We might as well surrender to the power of love.
So
unavoidable.
True. Unavoidable.
Okay, question.
Can I ask you the first question? Because I saw one coming back in the chat, and I was like,
okay.
This is a good one.
Okay.
Swami. Deborah says, please help with narcissism. Narcissism. It seems rampant these days, and I understand sending love, but I'd love to hear your advice.
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do, one of the things that goes with narcissism is kind of the overdeveloped ego. And so I have developed a simple mantra to help you release the grip of the ego. Would you like to learn it? Very simple, 3 words. Ego, egoing, egon. Either that or use mental floss. 4 out of 5 transcendentists recommend mental floss to help prevent truth decay, and boy, do we have that. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Here's one from Naila. She asks, Swami, we have a government that will let us speak as long as we don't say anything. Can you tell me how I can do this?
That's very, very true. You know, I think that, in fact, this goes all the way back to when George Bush was president, and they had these free speech zones where you were allowed to speak freely as long as nobody could hear you, which of course raises the question, if a speech falls freely in the forest, is it still free speech? Okay. So actually, what we have to do is we have to begin conversations. You know, it's very interesting, but 50% of the people in this country voted for that other person. We have to begin to engage. We need to bring red tribe and blue tribe together and talk until they're purple in the face. Because only by as being one purple people can we heal the body politic. Can we face the music and dance together?
That sounds like a perfect title for a new Christian song. We're all one purple people.
Yeah. And watch out for the purple people eater, by the way. They seem to be devouring purple people these days.
You know, I
Yeah.
love that we have people from all over the world with us. And Dorina Joy, who made it successfully from Bulgaria back to Ecuador, is with us. And she has a question for Swami. What do you find to be funniest about artificial intelligence? And how do you see it helping us humans get out of the situation that we are in?
Well, I think what preempts artificial intelligence, the only way to use artificial intelligence intelligently is through real intelligence. And that is the intelligence of the human heart. So we got to put the heart first, because let's face it, the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart and in the mind. See, we live in a society that believes that only matter matters. That's the dominant belief system of this scientific materialist paradigm. Only matter matters and only the material world is real. Now, we all know that that's not true. And so we have to begin to make those bridges to really rebuild the power of the human heart. Hearty laughter, that's one way to do it. Because what happens is there's often an aha in the wake of the ha-ha, and we leave the dueling dualities of the head for the unity of the heart. Yes, in the head, we have these beliefs that keep us separate, and what people believe is truly unbelievable. So remember, beliefs lie in the head, truth lives in our heart. And through that real heart intelligence, we will be able to use artificial intelligence wisely. Maybe we need artificial intelligence, huh?
I love that. Artificial
Intelligence. You like that? Good.
Love that. Well, Andrew and Connie have asked the question that we've all been wondering for all these years, and I appreciate their courage in asking. Swami, what do you have wrapped up in that turban?
Well, you know, actually, through all of the meditation I've done, I've actually created a bald spot at the top of my head. That's why they called those guys friars, because they fried their head from the inside, and that was why the friar had that look. So underneath the turban is a little bald spot. Okay, so I guess I'm covering that up.
Okay.
Now I have to tell you, I know you probably didn't like that question, that answer, but I wasn't that crazy about the question, so I think we're even.
Okay. Susan Blomquist asks, Swami, can you talk about the planets and their planetary ascension?
Yes, I can. Next question. No, we're at a very, very serious time right now. What's happening right now is Pluto is conjunct with the 7 little dwarf planets, and that's put us in a very, very interesting situation that we have. But I happen to know that the universe is operating perfectly well, and all we have to do is to get in harmony with the universe and in synchronicity, because there's no harm in harmony and there's no sin in synergy.
Beautiful. Well, as you know, as a relationship coach, I happen to work with a lot of, being in the Bay Area, I work with a lot of couples and constellations that are working with polyamory and open relating. What are your thoughts about that?
But polyamory, well, I have to be very blunt with you. I'm what people do with a consenting parrot is none of my business.
Okay, doke.
Now you're asking the Swami a question about sexuality. I was celibate for 14 years. But when I turned 15, I said enough of that.
That's a good one. And Swami, what is your advice for climate change? How do we manage that?
Well, first of all, I think before we address any of these worldwide problems like that, we need to have political climate change, warmer hearts and cooler heads. Because everything like this has been so politicized and so polarized that we are suffering from many diseases of the body politic: truth decay, irony deficiency, erectile dysfunction, and of course, bipolar disorder. So part of what we need to do is we need to actually begin to have conversations. Everybody on the planet wants to live in a world that's healthy, wants to have clean food, clean water, clean air. And so one of the problems, one of the reasons why we got the election results that we did, is that the Democratic Party and those people, they were so focused on microaggressions that we ended up with a macroaggression, if you know what I mean, right? So the secret is we have to leave identity issues and focus on the identical issues. The identity issues keep us separate. The identical issues, clean water, clean food, clean air, and clean government, you're going to have 99% of the people behind you in solving those problems together rather than being on the battlefield and fighting each other. It's called divide and conquer, the oldest political racket in the world. We need to unite and prevail.
Andrew and Connie write, Swami, you mentioned you had to have your turban on straight to get your transmissions. The transmissions are astounding, extraordinary, brilliant. So you're getting a lot of appreciation.
Well, it's a good thing I transcended my ego hearing that. In fact, I take great pride in my humility.
That's good. What would be Swami's advice for our current political administration?
Well, I know that, of course, many people are recognizing that they have turned due process into doo-doo process. And as you probably know, if you've not figured this out for yourself, Doge spelled backwards is God, right? And so basically what we need to do is we need to move from resistance to resilience. We need to recognize that the disruption, it's happened. The disruption has already happened. So Humpty Dumpty cannot be put back together. I don't know if you figured that out. What we need to do is create a newer world order that doesn't have the same old world odor. We're involved in a situation where we have dueling dystopias. We have the dystopia of the singular oligarch, and then we have the dystopia of a top-down system that's kind of like the frog in the boiling water slowly boiling, right? So if you don't want this dystopia and you don't want this dystopia, we need to create datopia. Datopia together, where we're all in this together and we begin to converse and cooperate from the grassroots up, starting in our local areas. We need to relocalize our food and our economy, because that's where we build trust. You can't, I mean, the media, let's face it, brainwashing machine stuck on spin. So people don't know who to not believe anymore, right? Okay, so what happens is we have to go right heart to heart, face to face with real people in the real world, and that's how we build these circles of trust from the grassroots up. There was an amazing experiment done in the 1970s in Czechoslovakia. Vaclav Havel and Vaclav Benda created something called the parallel polis. And instead of fighting the system, they created their alternative system, or as I call it, alternative system, and the natives were altered for the better. And so when the Czech regime, the communist regime, collapsed, they already had the infrastructure in place to begin true self-rule. So if we look at the current collapse that we're seeing, We need to actually take the opportunity to build the real new society from the grassroots up.
Beautiful. Thank you. I want to just repeat again that wonderful line about the media is stuck on the spin.
It's a brainwashing machine stuck on spin. And
brainwashing.
frankly, if I could be more blunt, the only mainstream news network telling the truth about what they're broadcasting, CBS. You want to come to CBS? We got it. Plenty of BS.
That's very good.
And of course, we are now talk about alternative forms of power. We have an entire media being run on gaslight. Gaslight. Yeah, that is the faintly visible fog that emanates from decomposing bullshit.
Okay, we have now some good questions coming in. The others were good too, of course. Kristin asks, Swami, tell us about the collective awakening that is taking place.
Ah, yes, this is very important because this is a life choice. We call it the Great Uprising. If we don't have an awakening, there will be a wake. And the awakening is really a fractal awakening. It's happening at every level. If we can't do it in our own families, we can't do it in the world. You know, my sign, the sign that peace is at hand, is when all of the peace groups get along with each other, right? So what we have to do is we have to recognize that this change happens at every level. We can't expect the big system to change unless our little system changes. So maybe we could do the peace mantra. Ready? Okay. This is when you feel yourself being put out of peace, you want to put your inner peace in peace while the outer peace is in pieces. Simple 3-word peace mantra. Ah, peace on it. Ah, peace on it. You see? Doesn't that make you feel better?
Much better. Much
Okay.
better. Thank you. All right. Well, we have a question from Ayada. What does Swami think of Washington, Oregon, and California seceding from the Union and becoming Baja Canada?
Well, I think it's a long shot. I think basically we need to succeed as a union. I see people want to leave the country and all of that. I think that we need everybody on board. We need all hands on deck at this point. And I think that a lot of people have made themselves crazy by believing only what their one side is saying. And if you want to try a real exercise, begin to listen to what the other side, whichever side you're on, is saying. Because frankly, in the new world, in this new awakening that Kristin just asked about, there are no sides, only angles. And when we see it from the right angle, we're all on the same side. That's like your I am love, I am love. That is the mantra that we need to have as we move forward into this situation that we find ourselves in and healing the body politic.
Beautiful. Okay, here is our, we have 2 more questions before our next Kristin song. From Andrew and Connie again, what does the future look like? Are ETs going to change everything? Will they come down and save us?
Well, I'll tell you something. One of the biggest problems we have on this planet is extraterrestrials. We have way too many terrestrials. We don't need any extra. Okay, start with that. Second thing is that I don't make predictions because I don't want to jeopardize my non-profit status. Right? And, you know, the best way to face the unknown, by not knowing. I don't know. I'm ready for the unknown. And I'll tell you how it is. You heard of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle? They're not even sure about that.
Well, this next question is actually for all 3 of us. So I'm going to bring Kristin back up. Question comes from our beloved Dorina. And she wants to know what makes us all laugh the most. A person, a movie, a song, what makes us all laugh the most? So, Kristin, what makes you laugh the most?
Well, I've been laughing pretty hard tonight. I'm a good person to have at any comedy show because I laugh louder than just about anyone. But I would say on a daily basis, one of the things that makes me laugh the most is every morning, my partner Troy and I, we sing silly songs. So when we're in the kitchen, when we get out of the bed, when we're making breakfast, we sing ridiculous, like literally ridiculous songs. We just let what comes into our minds that's silly, 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 and most people would be embarrassed to say out loud, we just turn it into a song. And then we laugh, laugh, laugh. That one was the most ridiculous. And then we sing it more. So that's one of the things that on a daily basis gets me laughing.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. See, we're learning all these things about each other tonight.
Well, and the funniest part of it all is that my partner Troy is a pretty serious healer, and most of his clients probably think of him as a really serious guy. And then we laugh so much also thinking about what would his clients think if they were to hear or eavesdrop into this moment. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Troy. I think Troy's in here somewhere. So,
Yeah.
Steve, what do you?
I love the silly songs. Trudy and I do silly songs. We were cat sitting, and one of the deals with cat sitting is if there's a kitty litter box, you have to empty it. That was my job, and I would be singing, "Kitty pooped again, ooh, cat shit in the can, ooh," and we just had so much fun with that. So these songs are all in the boson out there in the Ethernet, and so they're ready for us to capture and play with. The average child laughs 100 times a day. The average adult, not that much. And that's because their life and diet is rich with psyllium. So we need to be sillier. And that is one of the, because really the world is in serious condition because of our conditioning to be serious.
Beautiful. And we brought up the wonderful Trudy, who shares the silly cat song. So we wanted to let him see Trudy. I would have brought up Troy, but he doesn't have his camera on. Well, gosh, what came up for me actually was, if you've never watched them, the Pink Panther movies with Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau. Start with there's about 4 or 5 of them. And they're hilarious. They are and every now and then, if I need a laugh, I go onto YouTube and I'll just put in, Pink Panther clips and watch some of the silly, silly clips of Peter Sellers, who was just brilliant as Inspector Clouseau. And the way he drives the chief inspector insane, the way he drives his boss crazy, there's something about that just cracks me up. So there's a little tip. If you haven't seen those movies, at least pull down some of the clips because they're really classic.
Love that.
Well, with all this love and laughter and merriment, it is time now for another Christian song. Thank you, Swami. We will have one more round of Ask Swami, so get those questions going. And
thank you, Swami. Whew. I'm feeling, I like your cat litter songs. Yes, anything that has to do with pets and poop and things, those always make good songs. Cat litter, going out for the walks, those are some good material there, Swami. So I'm going to be switching gears from silly to kind of back to what Scott was talking about. I love how Scott shared about self-love or shared love, experiencing that hug from the earth, from Mother Earth, and remembering that she's always holding you. That was so, so beautiful. I want to share a piece which is about our connection to Mother Earth. A few months back, an incredible woman contacted me named Addie Lamborn, and she's an incredible visionary. Since she was younger, she's been astral traveling and visioning on the other side. And she said, "Kristin, ever since I was a young girl, I have known the divine origin of Mother Earth in the other realms as Maravati." And she said it a few times, Maravati. And I immediately felt something. Wow. Okay. And she said, "I've been also hearing that there would be a song that would come through with the encoding that allows humans at this time to tap into this piece of music and both receive her nourishment, as Scott was saying, and also assist her in her rising, and assist her in her growth at this time. So it's a both, it's also that same theme of I am love, I am loved, right? And in our relationship with Mother Earth, we are feeling her love, and we're also offering her our love. So as you are listening to this next piece, Madhavati, just really feel that connection that you have. Maybe a memory comes in of a time where you have felt really held by Mother Earth, and maybe you can just close your eyes or really feel her spirit body. Like, we all have physical bodies, and I feel we all have spirit bodies, and send this energy that you're feeling to her spirit body. Okay, here we go. This is a little classical in nature, so we're completely shifting gears. Madhavati, Madhavati. Take a breath in. And exhale. Let's do that one more time, breathing in. And exhale. And one last breath. Just letting those codes of the music assimilate into every cell of your being, breathing in. And exhale. I'll say one thing about music. I feel one very important understanding that I've grown more and more into in this life is that we can use music as our ally, as a powerful tool to move our emotional centers, to reconnect us to love, to reconnect us to each other, reconnect us to the earth. We can use it in our uprising, in our awakenings. And just reminding you today, it's a tool that each of us has in our homes, in our phones, at our fingertips. Reactivate your relationship with music and conscious listening. Conscious listening is so different than putting on music to be entertained, but actually consciously putting on a piece to set your space and set your container for your own self-loving, your own awakening, building your own inner joy and self-care. So I was just feeling that as I was singing, that remembrance of the power of music to really immediately tune us together, and wanted to just remind us you can also use this in your daily basis. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I spend a lot of time, when I'm driving and whatnot, I get in phases where I don't listen to a lot of music. And other times in life, I've really been carried by music. But the intentional listening is the key. How we listen is the key. Okay. And now I think we have a very beautiful deepening on kind of part 2 from the message that our beloved Scott was teaching us about love before. And I think he's going to take it a step deeper.
Oh, wonderful to be able to talk about love after listening to, and especially that particular piece, which is very divinely inspired. It brings into our field divinity. So thank you. That's actually kind of going to shift how I present this in that way, because, and many of you have heard me say this before, but it bears repeating. The vast majority of people who have significant near-death experiences, when they are shown or remember the meaning of their life, it's always, I'm here to learn to love, starting with myself. Think about that. I first learned that as a producer when I did a documentary on near-death experiences, and Dr. Kenneth Ring, who had researched over 300 cases worldwide, had come to that. That's what he learned from all of his research, that's the meaning of life. And since then, as a coach, I've worked with thousands of people, and it helps me to, and I get pretty close to people. I learn what their stuff is. And that's it. We're here to learn to love ourselves, despite our disappointments, despite our wounding, despite our disillusionments. It's the meaning of life. And so as we practice more love of self and more love of each other, then we really are doing what we're here on this planet to do, to learn to love. Now, at the highest level, I believe that the highest form of love is compassion. And the highest level of compassion is radical acceptance. When we can have radical acceptance of what is. And let's think about some of our greatest spiritual teachers. I'm sure many of you know the story of Prince Siddhartha, whose his parents were royalty. He grew up, and his father was kind of eccentric and only wanted him to experience perfection. And young Siddhartha only experiences beauty and everything is perfect until he goes outside the castle walls and he sees all the suffering. India. And dedicates himself to alleviate all the suffering of the world. And he goes off and he leaves his palace behind and he goes off into the world. But the more that he travels, the more he realizes how big the world is and how deep the suffering is. Until finally he collapses under the banyan tree and he accepts there is suffering. And in that moment, he becomes enlightened and becomes the Buddha of compassion. Think about it. When he accepted there is suffering, is when he became the Buddha of compassion. Radical acceptance. Jesus on the cross. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And you can't get more radical acceptance than that. I mean, crucifixion is a really painful way to die. It's torturous. And in the greatest agony of his physical being, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Radical acceptance. You know, the best-selling poet in America for many years is a 12th century gay Islamic mystic. How is that? And of course, I'm talking about the poet Rumi. Now, many people who love Rumi even don't know his whole story. When he was middle-aged and already a very beloved teacher, he fell in love with a man named Shams. And Shams was a drunk. He was outrageous. He was kind of the Jim Morrison of his time. He just was outrageous. And he pissed everybody off. And he literally had gotten kicked out of several other villages before he came to Rumi's world. And he and Rumi had a very profound relationship that was centered in their mutual search for the eternal beloved through the mystic path. We don't know the extent of the relationship, but what we do know is that there was something that so offended Rumi's closest circle, including his own son, that they hired thugs to kidnap Shams, where they took him out to the desert, murdered him. He was never seen again. This is all a true story. When Rumi discovered the double horror that his beloved friend had been murdered and that his own closest circle had been the people who made that happen, who did that, well, of course, his heart broke into 1,000 pieces. And he stood up and he started to spin because his whole world was spinning. He stood up and he started to spin around and around and around. And the whirling dervish tradition began with Rumi spinning. That's when that began. And as he was spinning around and around, with his heart breaking and accepting that this terrible thing had happened, he made a profound choice, which was to live the rest of his life through the pathway of the broken heart in the search for the eternal beloved, both Shams and divinity herself. So there you have three of our greatest teachers all practicing in peak moments of their life radical acceptance. Now, radical acceptance doesn't mean we condone hurtful behavior, but it means we accept everything that has happened. We accept it. We don't need to judge it. We might need to set boundaries. We certainly want to learn from it. We don't judge it. Now, most of us have people in our life that we are deeply immersed with, a husband, a wife, sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, people that we live with, work with. And there are times that those people drive us crazy. They do things that agitate us. So I'm going to give a little practice for how we can authentically go from irritation and the temptation to judge into a higher state of radical acceptance. And I want to acknowledge this is a tool that I learned from Marshall Rosenberg. Thank you, Marshall. And it's giving ourselves an emergency dose of self-empathy. I'm sure that Swami could do a great comic bit on this, and Kristin could probably write a song about it. So when that person in your life does the thing that bugs you, you're allowed, and by the way, everything I'm going to describe takes place inside your brain. None of it is verbal. You don't say any of it. It's all your own practice. You're allowed one sentence, one thought of the irritation, like, oh, I can't believe he's doing that. Or, oh, no, I don't want to deal with this. One sentence, you're allowed to have it, but keep it to just the one sentence, the one initial thought, acknowledging the upset, the irritation, whatever it might be. And then drop deeper. What am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling sad. Real feelings. Remember, real feelings are one word. Anytime we say, I'm feeling like, we're about to go into a thought. Feelings are one word. What are you feeling? And then, of course, underneath all of our feelings are our needs, or you could say our values. What are you needing? Harmony, to be understood, peace, respect. Get in touch with what it is you're needing in that moment. And then give it to yourself. If it's, let's say it's respect, well then remember a time, ideally when the person that you're agitated by respected you. And if that never happened, you may need to change that relationship. And think of a time that somebody that you really love and care about did show respect for you. Remember how it feels in your body and really feel in your body what it's like to be respected. Give yourself the very thing you're longing for. Breathe it in. And by the way, this whole process can take about 1 minute. You can do it very quickly. And when you've given yourself that emergency dose of self-empathy, and you've given yourself the remembrance, the divine remembrance of what it is you're longing for in that moment, now you've flipped out of deficiency. You've left what's wrong with the other person, dropped into what you're really needing and longing for, and you've given it to yourself. And then you ask yourself a question. Can my love or care for this person supersede my discomfort? Most of the time, the answer will be yes. And then you can connect in a much more loving way. And sometimes it's no. You're just too triggered. You're too in the red zone. And that's where you take space. And a wonderful thing to say, it's not about making them wrong. It's like, I'm sorry. I need to go take good care of myself right now. I need to take care of myself. I'm learning how to take better care of myself. And I'm going to take some space now to do that. And you exit. It's amazing how that simple practice makes an enormous difference in relationships. I've given it to a lot of people and I've gotten a lot of feedback. And I'll close just by reminding us all that radical acceptance is the highest form of compassion. So how can you radically accept yourself, accept your circumstances? Doesn't mean you have to like it, doesn't mean you have to condone, but accepting it without judgment. And every time we do that, we raise our vibration, just like Kristin's music raises our vibration. Swami getting us to laugh raises our vibration. What I'm describing to you raises the vibration. When we judge another or judge ourselves, we lower the vibration, we lower the frequency. When we raise it, that's when we start experiencing heaven on earth. And I am looking forward to experiencing more and more heaven on earth with each and every one of you. So that's my sharing. And with that, I am so happy to turn it over for more Swami wanted for questioning.
Very good. Well, you know, there is the aspect of self-care that you do have to acknowledge when you're not feeling right. And that's why I've developed a technique called tantrum yoga. Tantrum yoga. Use your anger to heat your home in the wintertime. It's very, very powerful. Tantrum yoga is when you hold your breath until God gives you what you want. which is, of course, how Krishna turned blue. You may not know that. But anyway, yeah, so I bet we have some more questions. And by the way, we are running a little behind. I have to tell you a story. Many years ago, I was at a Sunday morning church service, and the minister, something had happened earlier that delayed the service, and he came up to me before I'm going on. He says, I have to tell you, we're running 15 minutes behind, and we have to end exactly on time. I said, no problem. I got out there and I said, we're running 15 minutes behind. We have to end exactly on time. So would everybody please turn your watch back 15 minutes? And it absolutely works. So time is an illusion. And so here we go.
Well, Swami, Kristin has a question for you. Do you have a meditation practice that you recommend?
A meditation practice that I recommend. Well, actually, part of the meditation has to do with actually how I actually keep myself from being thrown off center by all of these things that want to throw you off center. And I'm reminded of the happiest individual I ever met. Did I tell you about this? He was a psychiatrist. Happiest man I ever met. He was glowing. He had this glow all over him. So I wanted to know his secret. I said, tell me, you're a psychiatrist, right? He goes, yes. And I said, you've been practicing how many years? It's 25 years. I said, wow. How is it that how you've been able to listen to people's problems for 25 years and look the way you do? And he says, who listens? So part of this is to make, Scott Hughes did a very good job in helping people recognize how we have the choice whether to get plugged in or whether to actually plug or unplug ourselves from these situations that keep repeating and keep upsetting the setup, right? So there's many ways to do it. I certainly appreciate you that. That's my meditation. Okay, who else?
Swami,
I have several answers left, so let's have some questions. Yeah.
Swami, what's your advice for raising children?
Well, actually, I would say raising children, first of all, you want to only speak positive words of encouragement. Now, this can sometimes be challenging. You walk into your kid's room and it's just a mess, and you have to, again, this is equanimity, what you were just talking about. You got to take a deep breath, and instead of yelling what you're going to yell, you want to yell, what the heaven is right with you, you useful good for something? And wipe that smile onto your face. And this is very transformative when you do that. We call it giving them an esteem bath, so that when they leave the house and leave your home, they leave under a full head of esteem.
That's beautiful. Hey, we need more questions, everybody, so don't be shy. Pop your questions in the chat, or if you want, you could try raising your hand like I just did. You see there's a little hand raised, and that brings you to the front. That way we can see you, because we want to know what questions. I mean, this is a very rare opportunity to ask questions of the great Swami. So please don't be shy.
Now, I know that everybody realizes we already have all of the answers within, right? Matching them with the corresponding questions. That's a challenge. Okay. Yes.
Trisha has a question. So Trisha raised her hand. So go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Swami. Thank you so
there.
much. I used to date a comedian back in my 20s. That was a hoot. So I have a little understanding about a comedian's life. Earlier today in the chat box, I put, I'm enjoying you and your humor. I look to humor throughout my day. Please tell us when you're, when you're not being fun and weaving humor in, do you feel a little scared or unsure these days with all that's going on? That human side of you. Can you speak to the human side of you that's not being?
Yeah, well, I do have a human side, and we all get upset, we all get frustrated, but frankly, there is a way to kind of keep your nose above the line. Below the line is the battlefield, and there's so many things that want to pull you onto the battlefield. All of us, we want to, we want to be against this and against that and so on. And that battlefield, there's nothing good on that battlefield, because what happens is we end up fighting each other rather than working together. That's the trend that has to be broken. 99.9% of the people in the world want the same thing. Now, we do have sociopathogens. There are sociopathogens in the body politic, but nonetheless, we have the choice. This is free choice. We have free choice as to whether we get on the battlefield or step up to a new playing field. And one of the reasons why we have this particular challenge right now, these are called apocalyptic times. And apocalypse means lifting of the veils. And so the irony curtain is coming down, and all of these contradictions that we've seen, all of the things that we haven't wanted to look at, we call it Nazism. Nazism is when you choose to not see what's too uncomfortable to look at. And so the body politic has suffered from Nazism for a long time. We can date it back to the Kennedy assassination, and we can include all of these other shadow pieces that most decent people don't want to look at, but it doesn't make the shadow go away. So I think we need to embrace the shadow, and we need to engage with it. And instead of fighting the people that we imagine are bad people, what we need to do is engage with them, begin to have conversations, rehumanizing conversations. So my slogan is humorize, humanize, harmonize. There's no harm in harmony.
I like it. And I like that you can be really spontaneous with your humor also. That's quite an asset there. Thank you.
Thank you, Trista. Okay, now we do have some questions. So Pam is asking, do you follow a special diet?
Do I follow a special diet? Well, there are a lot of competing, what I call them, diet tribes out there. There's the, there's of course the, the vegan diet, and I respect people like John Robbins, who gave up his Baskin and Robbins inheritance because he didn't want to be a derriere, apparently. And so, there's a lot of people who follow that path. There are people who, again, I followed a guru in Texas who actually advocated eating beef. His name was Barbecue. When you see a sacred cow, milk it for all it's worth. Yes. And I think ultimately we have to find the right diet for ourselves. That is the lesson that we've learned, and again, so I have found my perfect diet. It is the mucus-free diet because, frankly, I have found that mucus is the easiest thing to give up.
We're going to continue the food theme for a moment. Carol is asking, if you owned a restaurant, what would you name it, and what kind of food would you serve?
Oh, well, it turns out I went to the most unusual restaurant in the world. I was at the Ascended Masters Golf Tournament in the Himalayas. And as you know, in the Himalayas, there are people who no longer need to eat food who exist on breath alone. Somebody got the idea to open up a breatharian restaurant. Now, they don't serve any food, but boy, the atmosphere is terrific, right? So I went there. I'm standing, I see three guys walking by with clothespins on their noses like this. They were fasting. So I started talking with them. One of them, you're not going to believe this, he was so evolved. Not only doesn't he eat food, he doesn't drink water either. His name is Pierre.
Oh,
that's time release, Scott. You'll laugh for no reason tomorrow.
You got to think about when to get it there. That's very good. That's very good. Dr. Laura does say, I love your wordsmithing, Swami. And yes, he is a brilliant wordsmith. And she has a question for you from Dr. Laura. Are your audiences growing in numbers? And is that reflecting the background increase in people who are spiritually awakening?
Well, that's very interesting. Somebody asked me, what is the biggest audience you ever performed in front of? It was a group called Immensa. And these people, you have to weigh 300 pounds to join this group, right? So that was the biggest audience I've ever performed in front of. No, they, but actually, I think what's happening right now is that there is awakening and an awisening. And right at this moment, I think people are very traumatized. And so we're in that moment where it's called a liminal system, a liminal situation, where it's between here and there. So I'm noticing that more people want to laugh, and so I'm reaching out. I was thinking about doing a love and laughter tour later this year and next year. So if you're in a place where you want to have cosmic comic consciousness, invite me, and let's see what happens.
Beautiful. Okay, here's a question from Barbara Lovejoy. Swami,
who doesn't love joy, right?
and who doesn't love Barbara?
Yeah, we love you, Barbara. Yes.
Swami, what advice do you have for empaths who vibrate with all the frequencies out there, often unconsciously, and then get overwhelmed with the intense low frequencies?
This is that's a very, very good question. So first of all, there's a way that you have to actually create the space inside that you're not your empathic path doesn't become everybody else's path, right? You have to, this is like a clear boundary situation. And partly I would take the advice of that great psychiatrist that at some point you're holding space, but you're not letting that space be occupied. So I think that's probably what you have to do. There's a lot of heavy duty light workers out there. I understand that that's a big job right now. And I think it's very, very important that you know your field of healing and you keep building that one field. There's amazing things that are happening right now in the world of healing. I don't know if anybody has had a magnetic healing session. I had one that was very, very powerful. I was stuck to my refrigerator for 3 days. Very, very powerful. So the idea behind it is to find your way and to make sure that you have an impermeable, impenetrable center so that you're not being thrown all of these different ways by all of the people you come in contact with.
All right, this I believe is our last question before we go to Kristin. Swami, how can we help the people who have been so devastated by all that is happening in the United States and in the world? Oh, and and by the way, I just want to always acknowledge who it comes from. That was from Ray Elaine. Thank you, Ray.
Well, first of all, I think first of all, it's very, very important to expand our capacity for compassion. We need to open our hearts. And, one of the things that happened tonight, we had beautiful heart-opening music. And what that does is it allows us to feel what we need to feel. Somebody asked me recently, Swami, how do you explain the suffering in the world of all of the people who don't have enough to eat? I went, that's pretty easy to explain. What's harder to explain is the suffering in the world of all the people who have plenty to eat. So what's very, very important that this is the time when we have to actually weave a web of mass construction where we are actually working together and building together. And this is a skill that we need to learn. So many of these great ideas, they're brilliant, brilliant ideas that are floating up there in the land of theory. And I think there are a lot of people who are way too serious, if you know what I mean. We need to take all of these great healing theories and ground them with the people on the ground. So we need to make the shift from the self-serving to the other serving, to serving one another. And that is a big shift. That is, we've lived in, we may be talking about, narcissists in power, but basically we have been living in the most narcissistic society in the most narcissistic age, where it's really about me, 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 me. And so now we have to actually shift the focus from me to we. This is, it's been called a weevolution. It's been called, I'm calling it the Great Reset. The Great Reset is all of us, the 90% of us who are not sociopaths, we set the rules, we set the standards, we begin where we are at the grassroots, and we build these networks that actually end up replacing what is falling apart. That is the apocalypse. We're watching the structures that no longer work fall apart. We have to remember that the humans need to be uplifted. So part of that uplifting is coming together in celebration with laughter, laughing lovingly at ourselves and at our situation.
Well, I want to remind people that they can wake up laughing, and they can get all things Steve and all things Swami Beyondananda from his website, which is wakeuplaughing.com. Wakeuplaughing.com. And is there anything, Swami, here you'd like for me to especially point out or let people know about?
Well, the thing is, if you sign up for my daily laxative, you'll get the news. You'll find out what I'm up to. I'm launching a couple of new podcasts. One of them is going to be called Wake Up Laughing, where I'll be talking with people about humor. And then the other one is Signs of the Upwising. And this is my alter ego, Steve Behrman, is working on the Great Upwising, really to help people come together above and beyond the divides, not pretending to like each other, but actually being able to listen fully and hear one another and get through to the heart of the matter, which is the matter of the heart. And you'll also find out about the autobiography Travels with Swami, a wise guy's journey from new age to old age. So you'll be able to read that in installments if you like. Okay? So watch that space. Sign up, get the daily laxative, and cure irregular hilarity and prevent hemorrhoids.
And here is where you can find all those wonderful things. Swami on the left, Steve on the right, Trudy in the middle. Oh, and other things in the middle here too. Thank you very much, Swami. We love you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we are going to conclude the way that we began, and that is with our beloved Kristin.
Oh, wow. This has been such a great time together, Swami. Thank you for your wisdom and for just fluffing us all up with good vibes and some laughter. And I'm just so appreciative. I'm feeling very grateful right now. Thank you, brother. And Scott, you really opened my heart. I think you gave us all some wonderful tips for practicing self-love and love with others. And I just value your wisdom so much and the way that you show up for us all. I also just want to say thank you for holding and opening this powerful space for us to share in today and share with each other, as you do so often and so beautifully. We are very, very grateful. So I'm going to end with a short piece because I know we went over time, and it's just a piece about remembering. It says, take your time, right? We're going so fast these days, and our minds are going so fast, and our world seems to put on a pedestal multitasking and going from here to there and being so busy. And when I zoom out and I tap back into the soul's realms and I remember what we're really here to do is to love and to grow together, I say, take your time, slow down, okay? So this song is called Map of Souls. And as you're listening, just maybe even envision everyone on this planet. We're all here at the same time. We're all connected in some way. Whether we want to accept that or not, we are all here at the same time on this planet. And as we've shared today, the better we can love and listen to ourselves and to each other and show up with each other, I think the more upwising we will truly, truly experience. So here we go, Map of Souls. It's your master plan guiding you back home again as the maidens cry tears through the veils. Take your precious time, step by step, the tombs unsealed, lifetimes buried, now revealed. Feel the moonlight dance these ancient times. Step by step, you'll find listen deep. The greatest gift you can offer or receive. It's the heart that holds the map of souls. So listen deep, my dears, and step by step you will find it. Just take your precious time. Take your time. Take your time.
Mm.
Slow down. Take some breaths. Listen within. Zoom out. Listen from a different perspective. Take your time. We will find our way. You will find your way. Love you all so much. We're so, so, so blessed to be together in this way. To come together consciously and let in the laughter and the love and the music. Celebrating that we all chose to show up. Celebrating that we all chose to both care for ourselves and care about each other. And may we continue to do that and grow and love more together. So could my dear brothers come back on with me?
Before we do that,
Okay.
I do want to remind people
Oh.
of how they can get all Kristin Hoffmann. And it's her website, Kristin Hoffmann, 2 F's, 2 N's. And it's amazing the amount of music she has here. So if you click music and you go to albums and singles, there are so many albums that you can order, so many singles that you can order, just all sorts of beautiful Kristin Hoffmann music available. But I also want to remind people, if you haven't already, and I know many of the people with us today have done this, in the upper right-hand corner, go to where it says payment and membership. And when you click that, become a member of her wonderful Sonic Soul family. is something that I and the other people in the Zoom room that are here, we love. Once a month, we all gather together with Kristin, and it's always very, very special. It's always on a Sunday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern. But become a member, and you can become a member of her Sonic Soul family for as little as $11. I encourage people, if you can afford it, come in at 33 or 77. But even if it's only 11, it's so important for our artists to know that they have income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And album sales are not happening anymore. And so we get all of this music and all this Kristin, and we need to support her. It's really, really important. So please become a member of her Sonic Soul family. It's the best investment you'll ever make. And you get to have an extra once a month gathering with Kristin and friends, and it's always very, very special.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Scott. You're always so beautifully supportive of me and each guest on your show and in your sphere. I'm so, so grateful. And yes, we have a lot of fun, and we go deep every month, and there's music and dialogue and sharing around a theme each month. So come join us. Come be part of the Sonic Soul family. Any last thoughts, my dears?
Wow. Oh, it's amazing. Well, I've been studying physiology, so go ahead, ask me anything about physics. But I will tell you that I read recently that laughter is physiologically a lot like orgasm. So I want to thank you all for coming.
But that was perfect. What a good ending. And let's do that more.
We'll do more. Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Well, I certainly want to remind people, if you haven't already, and I think most of you have already registered, but we just are starting the spring season of Global Peace Tribe, where we all gather together. We had an amazing anniversary show. And 2 or 3 times a week, we bring you all these people. So go to globalpeacetribe.com and learn about our upcoming shows. There we are. There's the show that just happened. And join us and just click register for the next season. That takes you to the registration page and join us. We've got a great spring season scheduled. We're going to be coming to you from a lot of festivals. This month alone, we're going to be at the New Living Expo, the Evolutionary Leaders Retreat that I'll be at with Kristin and with Steve. And so it's going to be a wonderful season. So do join the Global Peace Tribe. And big thanks to most of you who have already joined us for the new year.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, joining Scott's show each week, you are guaranteed a massive dose of both self-love, and you're going to learn so much and be mentored by some incredible guests, and you a whole season. Each season will give you massive doses of this kind of self-care that we were talking about today. So definitely join.
Thank you.
Love you.
Great,
love you all
great
so much.
work that you're doing. Great work that you're doing. And it's such good work that it's actually play. But I know that there's work behind all of the play, and you're doing a tremendous service in opening hearts and opening minds. So,
yes.
Well, we're going to send the recording out to all of you. So thank you all for registering. We'll send this recording out because it's one of those things that you're feeling a little blue, needing an uplift. Uplift. And remember, let's all wake up laughing. Let's remember what Kristin taught us, to listen to music with consciousness and really take in the high vibration of music. And let's all practice radical acceptance. Give ourselves those emergency dosages of self-love, self-empathy. And we look forward to seeing all of you again the next time we gather, hopefully on the Awakening World. Thank you, Kristin. Thank you, Swami Steve. I'm going to go to gallery view one last time. Look at all those beautiful friends of ours. We love you all so much.
Oh, love you all so much. Blessings for your night. So much gratitude. Love, love, love.
Good night, everybody. Happy Easter and happy Passover. Today's Sunday. So there you go.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, take care, everybody.